Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am super excited to share with you some hidden gems from the new Stampin' Up! 2021-2022 Annual Catalogue. Now, these are products that are easy to miss in the catalog. They're not part of a product suite. They're not part of a bundle. They're just kind of tucked away. And I thought I would highlight some of them for you today because they are awesome. So while I'm waiting for folks to join, if you are here, please give me a hello so that I know that you're here. I'm just going to pull up my video on my iPad so I can see who is joining me. Oh, Chris and Gail are watching. Hi, Deb. How are you? So I hope you all had a great long weekend. Here in Canada, we had a long weekend. So yesterday was a holiday and it sure was nice to have an extra day. And the weather was fantastic. Last year we had snow on the Victoria Day long weekend. So it sure was nice to have some warm temperatures. In fact, today it's like midsummer. It feels like July. It's so hot outside. I mean, we have the air conditioning on in our house and I'm actually sitting in my craft room wrapped in a blanket because I'm wearing shorts and it's freezing down here. So I've got a cozy blanket around my legs to keep me from shivering while I'm doing this video. It's kind of crazy. My son, last week, I caught him working down here. He does his schoolwork downstairs. He actually had the gas fireplace on while we had the air conditioner running because he was so cold. So we put a stop to that. I said to put pants on and a sweater rather than turn on the fireplace as we heat and cool our home at the same time. All right, so let's see who else has joined us. We've got Louise and Claire and Chris. Hi, Sue. Hi, Gail. So we are going to get started. As I said, we're all about hidden gems today. So I am going to flip the camera and show you the products that I'm going to focus on. I'll show you where to find them in the catalog because it can be a little bit of a scavenger hunt to find them. And then we'll get to some stamping, okay? So give me a sec. I'm going to flip the camera and away we'll go. That's my creaky chair. Just giving you a heads up. I have a very creaky stamp chair. Let me just tighten this up, make sure we are good to go. I'll move this up a little bit. There we go. All right, we are in business. I lost my blanket. I got to get bundled back up here again. Okay, so 3 products that I want to sort of highlight today. None of them are part of a product suite. They're all sort of individual items that are sort of scattered throughout the catalog. So first of all, we have the Create with Friends stamp set. So this is a stamp set that has both lovely cursive, scripty sentiments and then some block lettering as well. So we can mix and match to create various sentiments. I love sets like this because it makes it a lot easier to personalize your sentiments for a specific occasion or project. So for example, I love that we have this scripty create. So we could do let's create together, or we could do welcome friends, or we could do let's be amazing together. There are all sorts of different things that we could do with this set. So I love that about this. Now you'll find this set, let me just pull in my catalog here. You'll find it on page 36. It's in the all occasions section. And there's not a whole lot of samples that feature this set. So it's easy to miss, right? If you are one who likes to go through and look at the pretty pictures, you probably won't even notice the stamp set because it's just sort of tucked in there and it's easy to miss. So that is the Create with Friends set. It is one of the $1 Million Achiever sets. It's Jennifer Cotton. She's from Texas. It's her $1 Million Achiever set and I just love it. The second item that I want to highlight today is this amazing set of dies called Iconic. Now, these are super detailed dies. There is no stamp set that goes with it. It's not part of a bundle. They are tucked away at the back of the catalog in the die section. So way back on page 162. So let me just flip to that and show you where you'll find it. So this is the die section, okay? So these are all dies that are not part of a bundle. If they're part of a bundle, you will find them highlighted in the bundle section. Okay, so the Iconic dies are right here on page 163. And again, if you're not looking through this section, a lot of people just kind of focus on the bundles and they kind of ignore this last section. These dies are so easy to miss, but they're awesome. So much variety, so many possibilities with these dies. So that's the Iconic dies, okay? And then the last item I want to focus on is the awesome host rewards. So these are host exclusive papers. This is the Pattern Party Designer Series paper pack. Now, this is a huge pack of paper. There's 48 12 by 12 sheets. Okay, I cut these down to 6 by 6, but they're 12 by 12, and you get 48 sheets in the pack. It's huge. So lots and lots of different patterns. We're going to use some of these today. Okay, so many different possibilities. Let's turn that one that way. The little scallops and the hearts and rainbows, and more rainbows and fun scallops again, and floral. And the best thing about this paper, these patterns are awesome and super versatile, but what's even better is that the back side of all of these sheets are black and white. So perfect for basically anything. I love black and white DSP. So tons of different patterns, all black and white, ready to be colored, and perfect for absolutely any occasion. Can we just stop and admire the buffalo check? Oh, so we're going to use that today. And then an argyle. So many possibilities in that paper pack. Now, this is a host exclusive. So this paper pack can only be purchased with Stampin' Rewards, which kick in at $200. So there's a couple ways to get to that. One is to place your own order for $200 or more, and you can use the Stampin' Rewards that you will receive to redeem for that Pattern Party paper. Another way is to host an online party. I would love to organize a Stampin' Party for you. We can do a live Stampin' Party on Zoom, or we can do just a virtual party, which is like a catalog party. So lots of possibilities. And you can collect orders from friends and family. And as the host, once your party orders hit $200, you are eligible to purchase the Pattern Party DSP pack. Now, I should mention, this is 48 sheets of 12 by 12 paper for $24. 24 Stampin' Reward dollars. Okay? Amazing deal. All right, so those are the 3 products that we're kind of focusing on today. There's a couple others that you'll see me mention as we go, but those are the sort of the main ones. And let's get to some stamping. Okay, let's see who else is here. Oh, Louise is here. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Regis is here. Hi, Holly. Hi, Brenda. Just want to take a second and give a shout out to everybody. Hi, Diane. Hi, Judith. Hi, Judy. All right, so first card we're going to make today is this fun, happy, cheerful card. So you can see I've used some of the Pattern Party DSP along the bottom, and some of the awesome die cuts using the iconic dies. So let's get to this one. So I'm going to dump out all my little bits and pieces here. And I don't want to lose that little flower. There it is. All right, so to start, I have a Poppy Parade card base. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we're going to fold in half along our score line and crisp that up, and that's going to give us our card base. Okay. Now, to create our card front, we're going to use 2 different pieces. So I could have cut a big piece, like a card front size piece of the DSP, but why? Why waste it? Because we're going to cover it with this embossed panel. I'll talk about the embossing in a second. So this is just a 1 inch strip, 1 inch, yes, 1 by 5 1/4, 1 inch, let me try that again. 1 by 5 1/4 inch piece of Pattern Party DSP. Okay, on the back, it's got that fun black and white floral. So we're going to go ahead and glue that down along the bottom edge of our card base so that we have an equal border on 3 sides. So I'm just going to grab my liquid glue for that. So I'll just add a little bit of glue to the back. And we're going to pop that on just like that. Okay, really simple. Now, this is a piece of basic white cardstock. It is 3 1/4, 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. I had to double check. And I've embossed this one using another hidden gem from the catalog called Dots and Checks embossing folders. So let me just show you those really quickly. I hadn't intended to, but since I'm mentioning it, I may as well. So again, we have a whole lot of embossing folders that are brand new, not part of the suite, and are easy to miss. So these checks and dots, this is the dots embossing folder that I used on this panel. There's an awesome sort of checkerboard or basket weave pattern as well. These are sized to fit in the mini machine, so they're 3.5 inches wide, and they're perfect. They're just awesome. So this is the dots pattern, nice large polka dots. So we're going to go ahead and glue this down on our card front. But before we do, we're going to add a little bit of black Baker's Twine. So this Baker's Twine actually comes in a combo pack in the new catalog. You get, I think, 4 different colors. There's black, crumb cake, white, I want to say gray granite, vanilla, maybe it's 5 colors. It's a great variety pack. So you're getting lots of different colors, lots of neutrals that work with just about anything, right? So it's a great way to get lots of colors of twine in one single pack. So I'm just adding my Baker's Twine to the front of my card. Get rid of the excess length there. And I put it on about 1 inch up from the bottom. Okay, so this is going to get glued on just like that. So when I glue this, I want to make sure I'm aligning my edges with the DSP. Okay, so that it's nice and straight. So we're going to use a little bit of seal for this. Just add a little bit to the back of my panel. Hi, Krista. How are you? Hi, June. Hi, Gail. Thanks for joining me on this warm, sunny May day. Hope you all had a good long weekend. All right, so there is our card front. Super easy, right? All right, so now I have a label that I have die cut using the Tasteful Labels dies. And this is where we're going to stamp our sentiment. So I'm using the large Scripty Celebrate. So I'm going to start by inking that up in Poppy Parade, not Pool Party, Poppy Parade ink. And I'm just going to stamp that centered on my label, just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to bring in a couple of the other words to create my sentiment. So we're going to have let's at the top and you at the bottom. So it's going to say, let's celebrate you. So for this, I'm just using black ink. I'm using the Memento Black. Now this is going to be a challenge to stamp straight because I can't look straight down, but we're gonna wing it. That's a little crooked, whatever. We can live with it. And then we're going to put you down here. Okay, so let's celebrate you. Easy way to make a customized sentiment. All right, so now we are going to add some of our beautiful die cut images that I've cut using the iconic dies. So this is a large flower. It could be a peony or a poppy even. And we're going to glue that in that upper left corner of our label. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive. Hi, Brenda. How are you doing? So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive there. So that's just sort of peeking out. And then there's 2 different leaves in the iconic die. So there's one that's kind of an open leaf, and then there's one that's more solid that has some veins cut into it. So we're going to use both. I'm going to add just a little bit of adhesive again to the back of my label. And we'll add one of the leaves at the top and one at the bottom, just like that. Okay, and then we're ready to go ahead and put this onto the front of our card. So it's going to go on pretty much centered. We're going to use a few dimensionals to pop it up. Hey, sister, how are you? How's the jet lag? I hope you are back on East Coast time. I'm sure it'll take you a while. All right, so let's get rid of our backings here. I'm actually going to add 1 dimensional to the back of my leaf just so it stays put because it's going to go over top of my twine. So we're going to go ahead and just center that on our card right about there. Okay, and then I have some of these cute little flowers. So these are cut using the iconic dies as well. It's one die that cuts all 3 flowers, which is great if you are making multiples. So for these, I'm just going to use just a little dab of liquid glue to pop these on. So we'll put one here. I'm just kind of doing a little scattering of flowers here. And we'll add another one here. And one more. A little dab of glue. Oh, I lost a center of my flower. Oh, it's back. Sometimes they stay in, sometimes they don't. I don't really pay too much attention to whether they do or don't. Not a biggie. All right, and then the last little touch is to add some of our matte black dots. I thought they were a nice little, just a little bit of an embellishment that works well with the black twine. So we're just going to add a couple. I'll do 1 large and 2 small. These guys are in the mini catalog and they're also in the new annual. So they're sticking around, which is great because they are a perfect little touch to add a little pop of black. And that's it. That's our finished card. Isn't that cute? Oh, wait, no. How could I forget the bow? Huh. I almost forgot the bow, people. That would be tragic. All right, let's tie our bow. Wowza. That would be like, I don't know. I don't know what that would be like. That would just be something very out of the ordinary for me to forget a bow. Like, really. If you've watched my videos for any length of time, you know I'm all about the bows and the bling. So let me just trim my tails off my bow here. And we're going to add just a little glue booger here. So we'll roll that up. And we're going to tuck it in right where the leaf kind of meets the twine here. So it's going to go right about there. There we go. Oh, so much better. Now we have a bow. All's right with the world again. All right, now on the inside of my sample, I just added another white layer, added another little strip of DSP, and then stamped another sentiment. Okay, super simple, but really cute. And these dies, they totally are awesome, like really. Okay, so that is card number 1. Let me clean up my mess here a little bit. I need to get the black ink out because I need that for the next card. And the next one we're going to do is this one. So I mentioned we were going to use that black and white buffalo check. And oh my goodness, I feel like I want to hoard that paper because I love that pattern so much. And I know that I'm going to hoard it. And then at the end of the catalog season, I'm going to have all this black and white buffalo check paper that I haven't used because I love it so much, which is just ridiculous. But anyway, that's how I roll. So I'm going to try really hard to use this paper. You're going to see a lot of it this fall, I think, and Christmas. So. All right, so this is just another cute little friendship card. So I'm going to show you how I did this one. So once again, I'm starting with my card base. This time it's black, and it's the exact same dimensions as the last card. So 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we'll fold that in half along our score line. Okay, and then this piece I've actually cut to 4 by 6 inches. And that's because we're going to do what I like to call the rip and flip technique. So we're going to use both sides of the paper. So when you have a 12 by 12 sheet of DSP, we often end up with some odd little strips at the end because we cut 4 by 5 1/4 card front size pieces. So by using this technique, we can actually use the full length of the 4-inch strip that we cut from the DSP. And we're just going to tear a little bit from one end and flip it so that we get a little bit of the other side of the DSP. So I like to use this pattern when I really like both sides, and I really like both sides of this DSP. So we're going to go ahead and tear this. So I'm just going to kind of, it's about, I don't know, 1 1/4, 1.5 inches maybe that I'm tearing. I'm going to try to do it relatively straight. I'm not really worried too much about being perfect. Okay. And then when I overlap it, I just do that. Isn't that cool? Really quick and easy way to showcase both sides of a piece of DSP that you like. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and glue these on. Now I'm going to glue this piece on first, and I'll show you why in a sec. So we'll add our larger buffalo check piece. So I'm going to glue this on. So again, I have an equal border on 3 sides. Okay, now this piece is going to go on here, but before I do that, I'm going to add my scalloped rectangle. So here I have a white scallop rectangle that I've cut using the Stitch So Sweetly dies. And so this guy is going to get glued on first. I'm going to glue it right about there because I want to have a fairly equal border on all 3 sides. And then this piece is going to layer over top like that. Okay, so we're going to add this one first. Rip and flip, Deb, rip and flip. I use this all the time because I often have a hard time choosing which side of the DSP I want to use because I love it all, right? So this is a good way to, you know, not feel bad about covering up part of the DSP because then you're using both sides. All right, so we're going to glue that piece on. So this time I'm going to make sure that, again, I have an equal border on 3 sides, and I'm also lining up my edges here just to make sure that that is nice and even. Okay, super simple. All right, now let's talk dies again. So I'm using the same dies that I used on the last card. So I've got that beautiful flower again. This time I've cut it from the new, what's it called? The new glimmer paper. I'm actually going to look it up because I have my catalog handy. I have to find it. It'll be under accessories. It'll be under all the fancy paper. Give me a sec. I will find it. There it is. What's it called? The Ombre specialty paper. This paper, oh my goodness, you guys. It's sparkly and glimmery and ombre. It's beautiful. So you get a 12 by 12 of each color in the pack. Okay. And it's gorgeous. Let me just, I've got it right behind me. I'll grab it and show it to you. It's another little hidden gem in the catalog. So here is the yellow, and I've already cut part of it because I used it on this card, but here's the yellow. Look at that gorgeous ombre and the glimmer. Oh, so pretty. So if you have used our rainbow glimmer paper that was in the catalog last year and carried over this year, it's the same kind of idea. The glitter does not rub off. Okay. So if you have a spouse who's glitter averse and doesn't want it in his house, this will not rub off. Like, I can scrub this and it doesn't come off. Okay. So we have the red, the Poppy Parade. Look at this blue. Oh, I'm going to be using that a lot at Christmas time. So pretty. And then look at the purple. Gorgeous grape. So, so pretty. So that's another one to check out. Again, another hidden gem in the annual catalog. All right. So I cut my flower from some of the lighter shade of yellow, or sort of medium yellow, on that ombre. And then I cut a black layer to put behind it so that I could just have a little bit of a shadow. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and layer that. I don't think, no, I should have used adhesive sheets if I'd been smart, but I didn't. So we're just going to add a little touch of liquid glue to the back of our flower and then pop that on. And we're just going to offset it ever so slightly. Okay, so can you see that? I'll put it down on the table. It's easier to see against the white. So we're just going to offset, and it just makes that yellow pop. Okay. All right. Yep. So I know there's so many hidden gems in the catalog this year, honestly. So that layered flower is going to go onto the front of our card. So once again, I'm going to add just a little dab of liquid glue. You do not need a lot of adhesive to glue these guys on. They're pretty light, these little die cuts. So we'll just pop that on there. Okay, and then I have my sentiment. So again, I've used the Create with Friends sets, and this time I have used Hello and Friends Up, but we're actually going to cut off the S as we fussy cut to create friend. So Hello Friend. Okay, so I've already heat embossed this in white on black cardstock. So when I go to cut this, I'm just going to come up and I'm going to come right around the end of the D and just cut off that S. No problem. So now when we're fussy cutting, so here's your little fussy cutting lesson for this week. We want to make sure that we are moving our cardstock rather than our scissors. Okay. You want a good sharp pair of scissors. Okay. You want something that you don't want anything that's going to tear or grab your paper as you're cutting. You want something with a fine, shorter blade. So if you were kind of in the habit of using like kitchen shears for your crafting, I would strongly encourage you to pick up a pair of our paper snips. They are well worth the money. Honestly, it's the best money you'll ever spend when it comes to crafting supplies. I'm a big believer in having the right tools for the job. Okay, we probably all have spouses who feel strongly that, they have to have the right tool for whatever job they're doing, which results in a lot of trips to Home Depot and lots of big credit card bills. Or, Amazon orders right now because Home Depot is closed. And it gets very expensive. However, these paper snips, they're less than $20. I can't remember exactly. I think they're $14 or $15. And they honestly are the best scissors. So if you are someone who avoids fussy cutting because, you feel like you can't do it, take a good, long, hard look at your scissors because that often is the problem. Okay. Not having a decent pair of scissors to try and cut with is a big sort of impediment to successful fussy cutting. All right. So I'm just kind of following the shape of my sentiment here. I'm not being super, super careful. Like it's not going to be super precise. I'm not doing, laser cutting. I'm just kind of following the shape of the font here. All right. And the idea is just to kind of frame that white sentiment in a little bit of black. I didn't want the black to overwhelm the front of my card, which is why I decided to fussy cut. Okay, often I will just stamp on a label. Okay, but this time I thought, nope, let's just fussy cut it. Okay, super easy. So we're going to add a couple of mini dimensionals to the back of our fussy cut sentiment so we can pop it up. So this font is actually sized quite nicely because the mini dimensionals still fit behind it even when you fussy cut. Okay, so we're going to pop the backings off. And hi, Linda. How are you? How are things are you in Virginia or are you in Pennsylvania? I can't remember. So let's pop our friend on there. Okay. Oh, I do too. The white on black, it's such a cool look, and it just makes that pop, right, against the white background. All right, so we're almost there. I have a little strip of white, and on that we are going to stamp our hello in black ink once again. And there's just something about black, yellow, and white. It's just such a fresh, fun color combination. That's a little crooked. It's really hard to stamp. I'm going to move this a little closer. Sorry guys if you can't see this very well. I just really cannot see. Nope, that's crooked too. It's very hard to stamp straight when you can't look straight down. Okay, we'll live with that one. All right, so we're going to trim our ends into a little banner. I'm going to pull out my trusty tailored tag punch, which is kind of my go-to for cutting banner ends. It cuts a really cute tag too, but I use it more to cut banner ends than anything else. So I'll get rid of that we don't want and trim the other end. Let's say right about there. A little bit more. I'm running out of room to hold. There we go. Okay, there's our hello. So we're going to pop that on again with a couple of mini dimensionals. So we'll just go 1 and 2 and get rid of our backings. And then pop that on just above the friend and offset a little bit. Okay, and then I've got some more of those fun little flowers cut again from the same yellow specialty paper, but I've used the darker yellow, so the darkest part of the ombre. And this time I'm actually going to adhere them using glue dots because we're going to cover up the center of the flowers, so they're not going to be visible if the glue dots are peeking through the holes there. So we're going to just add 1, 2, and 3, and I thought these kind of looked, when I added my matte black dots, they look kind of like Black-Eyed Susans, which I think is kind of cute. So we're going to add a large to the center, and it just covers all 3 holes. I'm going to add a large to the medium one as well, and cover up our 3 holes, and then I'm going to put a small one on this little guy right there. Isn't that cute? So fun. Now on the inside, I didn't do anything on the inside of this because I figured I could make this into anything, right? I could make this into a thinking of you. I could make this into a thank you. I could do a welcome to my team if I need one. I could do a happy birthday. There's so many possibilities with a hello friend sentiment. So I thought I would just leave it plain for now and then add an appropriate sentiment as I need it. Okay, so super cute, super easy. Love that buffalo check paper. All right, last one is the one that I posted today. I wanted to see if I could do something a little bit more masculine using that Pattern Party DSP and these dies. So for this one, I used the bird, this little guy, and the branch and the fern. This fern is super detailed. I'll show you the die cut in a minute. And I also am going to show you a little trick for creating the solid outline behind the die cut bird. Okay, all right, so I'm going to keep this die because I'm going to need that in a sec. But first, let's pull in our pieces. Now, I just want to mention the fact, I don't know if anybody else noticed, but did you notice these are all essentially the same layout? Okay. They're 3 cards that look very different, but they are the same basic layout. So we've got a piece, we've got another piece here. If I turn this way, this looks a little bit more obvious, right? We've got a label in the center, and then we've got some die cut pieces around the edges. So it is so easy to take one simple layout or card idea and change up the die cuts, change up the label shapes, change up the patterns, change up the papers to create a whole new look. All right, so I often get people commenting to me about how I'm so creative and there's no way they could ever come up with the designs that I do. Well, you know what? I just copy myself all the time. I might have 2 or 3 original ideas and then I just copy them with different products and it totally works. There's my secret. It's out. I'm really not as creative as you think I am. All right, so I'm going to show you. I know. There's no bow on this, Louise. I know. I seriously considered adding one. In fact, I had some twine on and then I ripped it off because it just was too much. Someday I'll do a Stampin' on the fly where you actually watch me create a card. Would you guys like to do that? Where I actually like design on the fly as you guys watch? I don't know if I'm putting myself out there, but we can maybe do that sometime in the summer. All right, so here we have our card base once again. 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we're going to fold in half our score along our score line. Okay, this is crumb cake cardstock. I forgot to mention that. So same exact card base. Like this is the same process, right, for all of these cards. So this time I have this beautiful sort of blue pattern. It's Misty Moonlight. It's got this little branch, and I thought it reminded me of the little branch die cut in the die, which is why I used it. So this time I'm going to tear off. This is cut to 5 1/4 by 4. So I didn't cut it longer, but I'm actually going to tear off a strip to use on the inside of my card. All right. So I'm going to tear off, I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches, 1 1/4. No, this is more like 1.5 inches. So we're going to tear that off. This piece I'm going to save to use on the inside. All right, so that's going to go on that side of our card base. Now I also have a piece of In Good Taste DSP. So this is a DSP pack that was in last year's catalog and has come back. It's not very often that Designer Series paper carries over from one catalog to the next, but this is such awesome DSP. It's got so many sort of texture patterns in it that I'm so glad it carried over because I use this stuff all the time. I love it. So this is just like a barn board sort of wood grain pattern. So I'm actually going to tuck that in behind my blue layer. Okay, so I have a little bit of a sort of brown backdrop for my bird to stand out against. So we're going to add this layer first. This one's, I don't know, 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 by 4. It doesn't really matter. This is just a scrap I had in my pack that I cut to the right width. Okay, because this is going to overlap. It doesn't really matter how wide it is, as long as it is wide enough to fill in that space that you've torn off. Okay, so let's add a little bit of adhesive here. We'll glue this guy on first. Again, making sure we have an equal border on 3 sides. Okay, and then we're going to add our blue layer. Now, oh, you know what? I almost blew it. We're going to pop this off because I forgot to add my twine. Look at that. I didn't use a bow on the last card. And I almost forgot to add my twine on this card. So we're going to fix this by just popping this off. Okay, this is what another use for your paddle end of your take your pick. When you put a piece down that you're not ready to, you just take this and you run it underneath your piece that you've adhered, and it separates it. No muss, no fuss, no rips. Okay, paddle tip of your take your pick. All right, so before we do that, we're going to go ahead and layer these. I'm going to glue this piece on, and then we're going to add our twine. So this might be interesting because this may want to stick down, but we're going to do the best we can. So what I like to do is I just lay my piece on in the corner of my grid paper. I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive to the torn edge of my DSP, and then I'm going to layer this on so that the right edge of my blue piece lines up at the 5 1/4 inch mark. Okay, so that's going to make sure that that's sized correctly. All right, so now I have my panel that will go on the front of my card, but I can add my twine. So I'm using this time a little bit of linen thread. This is my go-to Swiss Army knife of embellishments. I love this stuff. It's awesome for masculine cards or to add just a bit of rustic texture. So I'm going to put this on again about 1 1/4 inch up from the bottom. So I'm just going to run this across the front of my card, or my panel rather, it's not a card yet. Trim off the excess, and then we'll add another glue dot and pop this on. Oh, Claire, these iconic dies are awesome. Like, honestly, and they're so easy to miss in this catalog. Like, if I hadn't been like scouring it for the 15th time, I would have missed them, honestly. All right, so now we've got our twine on. We're ready to glue this for real this time onto the front of our card base. So let's just add a little bit more adhesive. Make sure that's pressed right in there so it doesn't go anywhere. And we'll glue this on. Which way are we going? We're going this way. So we're going to pop this on just like that. Okay, so now we have our twine and our 2 layers of DSP. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment. So our sentiment this time is going to get stamped on another white label, but this time it's also actually cut with the Tasteful tags, Tasteful labels, that's what it's called. And we are using this large scripty amazing and ewer to go on top. All right, so I'm going to start by stamping amazing. We're going to stamp that fairly centered on our label. I might do it actually just a touch lower than I did it on my sample, just so I have a little bit more room for ewer. Okay, this looks super dark. I'm actually stamping in Misty Moonlight. It almost looks like Night of Navy. Once it dries, it will be okay. This is just a really juicy ink pad. Then I'm going to bring in my early espresso, and I'm going to stamp ewer right above amazing. And I'm not going to even think about whether or not this is straight. It's all right. It's not ideal, but I can live with it. And that's that. Like, how easy is it to make really personalized sentiments, which I love. All right, so we are going to layer this label on it looks like a wood plaque. I love the look of this. This is again cut with the Tasteful Labels dies. If you haven't got those dies yet, you need to get them. They're super versatile. I use them like all the time. Even more now that the Stitch Shapes dies are gone, because I'm in a little bit of withdrawal over those ones. So the Tasteful Labels are a definite must-have in your craft stash. So we are going to go ahead and layer the white layer over top of the wood grain one. I just added a couple dimensionals to do that. Okay. And before we put this onto the front of our card, I'm going to show you the dies, and then I'm going to show you how to do this little layering trick with the bird. Look at the fern die. Look at the detail. I'm just going to hold that up nice and close. You get the veining cut, and they're just so pretty. So this one's cut from crumb cake cardstock. This one's cut from copper foil. Oh, so, so pretty. So I'm going to add just a little bit of adhesive to the back of my label. And I'm going to add my copper, and I'm going to add a little bit more adhesive. And then we'll add the crumb cake. But they're just such beautiful die cuts. Love it. All right. So I'm going to show you how to create a little backing layer for our bird. Let me just get rid of all my little bits in here so that you can see the bird is really quite detailed and not a super solid image, right? So I wanted it to have a little bit more presence on the front of my card. Now, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about poking these out because I've got adhesive sheets on the back, and that's just going to pull it off. It'll come off when I take my adhesive sheet off. So I wanted to create a solid layer behind my die cut bird. So here is how you're going to do it after I grab my marker that I left on the other table. There we go. All right, so I have my die, and I have just a scrap piece of crumb cake cardstock. So I'm going to place my die on my cardstock with the cutting side up. So this is the rough side, okay? Not the smooth side. I'm going to put it with the cutting side up. So you don't want to press too hard with your finger because it's sharp, but not so sharp as you'll cut yourself. So I'm just taking a fine tip marker. I'm just using my black Stampin' Up marker, and I'm going to trace the die with my marker. Okay, so I don't have to be super careful, but I want to get the basic shape of the die. And we'll come around here. All right, so there is my traced die shape. We don't need this guy anymore. Then I'm going to bring in my scissors, and I'm going to cut it out. This is like, you know, kindergarten, cutting out shapes. So we're cutting out a bird. I'm not worrying about being super careful around the lines. I just want to get the general shape. Okay, I don't have to be like super detailed, but I want to get the general shape of my tracing here. So we're going to cut that out. Clean that up a little bit. And then come around. You guys are watching me fussy cut a lot today. I hope you don't mind. But this is a cool trick that I had to show you because it works with any one of these dies. So we're going to come around the foot and right up and under the belly, and then back down the leg and around the other foot. Almost there. Just clean up that little little toe. I should have done the feet first. It's hard to do these little detailed bits when you don't have anything to hold on to. All right, so there is my little fussy cut traced bird. Okay, so now I'm just going to flip them over. Voila, no messy lines from tracing. And now I can just glue my little bird over top. Super easy, right? Aside from the tracing and the cutting. The tracing and cutting isn't hard. So let me just peel off my backing. I do have adhesive sheet on the back of my bird here, and I'm going to use my take your pick to get that going because my fingernails don't want to cooperate today. So the cool thing about the adhesive sheets is most of your little bits come off when you peel off the backing. So you don't have to spend a ton of time poking them out, which I love, which may be another reason why I'm a bit addicted to these things. So now I'm just going to center my little die cut birdie on my traced backing. Just get the feet centered the way I want them. And just make sure his head is centered. There we go. Isn't that cute? There's my little solid bird. Super easy. Okay. All right, so now we are ready to add this to the front of our card. Now I do have a little branch. Here's the branch. Look at the detail on the branch too. We've got the graining, and it actually separates, which is what I did on my card. So I actually had my branch going this way, and I kind of fed the bottom of my label through the branch. So you can see there's part of the branch there, and the rest of it is on top. So I'm going to add just a little bit of adhesive to the back of my label. And then we're going to just pop that in just like that. So we have the branch kind of sticking out to the left. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and glue this onto our card before we add our bird. Oops, I've got a little piece of bird stuck to my label here. Let's get rid of that. There we go. All right. So again, I'm going to glue this flat. So I'm just going to add a bit of adhesive to the back of my label. And we're going to center this on our card. And I kind of want the branch to kind of come up along my twine there. Okay, so it's going to go right about there. Okay, and then our little bird, we're going to add just with the dimensional. We're going to put a dimensional on his belly. And I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on his head just because he's going to overlap my label a little bit. So he's going to go on right about there. Just like that. So it kind of looks like he's sitting on the branch or on the twine. All right. Last touch is a double bow. Can't forget our bow. And yes, masculine cards can have bows, especially when they're tied with this kind of twine. I am a firm believer. All right. So I've got my double thickness of linen thread. Just making my loop, bringing it around, and adjusting my tail till I get my loops the size I want them. And then we'll trim off the excess and grab a glue dot. This time we're going to press it right in the corner here where the twine meets the label, and then press the knot of our bow in, and we're done. What do you think? You like that one? So I'll show you on the inside. I took this strip that I had torn off. I cut it down a little bit. I didn't want to cover quite as much. You could, certainly, if you don't want to write much. If it's going to a man that you don't have a lot to say to, you can certainly trim it down if you want more room to write, or leave it as is. It's up to you. But don't waste that little piece, right? We can totally use it on the inside of our card. All right, let me clean up my mess here a little bit and bring in all of our projects from today. And you guys have to tell me what you think. What do we like? Oh, Laura likes them, Deb likes them, Sue likes them, Krista, Louise. Oh, please don't stop watching my videos, Louise. I need your expertise on all the product names. I will be lost without you. All right, so there, let me get rid of my mess. There we go. We'll get that off to the side. So there we go. 1, 2, and 3 cute, fun cards using hidden gems from the new Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. Thanks so much for joining me today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed these projects. This video will post onto my YouTube page later on this evening if you want to go back and watch it again, as I will include all the measurements for all of the projects. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Have a great week, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.